side of the dip switch.
So you know what's so hard about this, Ben?
Through these 1K resistors. And then the other side
You and I don't know what I'm doing there. But you and I, he doesn't know me. You and I,
and when we turn the switch on, which is actually pushing it down,
already know what we're doing. And that's the problem. I remember the first technique when I was playing with Droid, because you'll get a lot of this. Now, like I said, at the same time I was watching a lot of this, so it leached in there, so they're just baby duck. Mama, 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 mama. And in the way, when I'm doing my lock picks or something, you know, I can't ever go back to the first time I got those crunchy clicks to come into fruition, to be the noise that it needed to be for the ones and zeros and the blinky lights to be in their proper position. And that's something everybody faces when we're looking at this, watching this guy go bang, 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 bang. Now, we have the luxury to pause, and that's the beauty behind somebody doing like that. But it doesn't give you the vector calculus or the tension calculus of that spring on the angles while you're in there working the statue of David, or Adam, right? And David. Click, click. Da Vinci stealing some Roman stuff so we can work on the Catholic, or the Sistine Chapel there.
There's the output going around to another input, and then the second input of that goes to D4.
You still do it a hell of a lot better than everybody else. I guess you get the job. And everybody's later on like, well, look, archdiocese or whatever, emissary, look. You got anything better? Oh, yeah, you just wanted them all to make their own thing, and God and Jesus, all that other happy horse shit. We had a guy, we needed him, we had commissions, now stuff's being built. You behave.
Now I'll go ahead and hook up the other XOR gates to be able to generate the other two parity bits. So parity bit 2 is going to be hooked up to D1.
Can't go back.
D3.
Can't go back to the first time you did Droid. And try to remember that. Or falling in the void while you're trying to figure out which. Because Droid, again, when you. The down and dirty here is they'll just start you off with two droids, HPTT, and this is that. And you assume I'm 33 years old. I never had this in school. Never did any of that. Short of being able to brute force these buttons to make them work, you know, to make this do anything. But in the end, like I said, I don't need it to do I don't need it to do this. I don't need it to do this. I got it all going at the same time on a screen. Somebody packed this thing together. And so the program then is a bunch of pre-cut wires that have different standard models with organizations and combinations of the patent office. Here, a very specific design is at the early phases where, you know, those are pretty advanced steps to stuff that you're doing, but this is the basic, what they give you when you first do that. And if you want to fix that droid, you would have to take this out. This is a script, not an HTLM or an HTML. And so you have to go about this. So what does it give you? Samples, bits, click, buttons, this number to that number on Arduino. You're just going to do this, 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 and this. See the same? Very similar. But here we actually have a toolkit. We actually have pre-cut wires we can put inside of here. Blue ones, green ones, yellow ones. Control dark is the dark side over here. When we'll go a few more later down in here where you can have some fun working the system. But me, I'm locked out at control dark. It's a really hard step in terms of cannot put anything else in here. I should have the ability with the tools and wires I have. I have a button. I have a toggle. I have a switch. I have an aspect to get into a new screen. Right? I know I can get the button over here from Hello. Was it Hello World? Yeah, we'll go back to Hello World here. See, I got a button. And if I put all that over here it play over here, but I can't change any of the code, right? The blinkies don't work. Zeros. And so when you do that, you have to put it over here. Cut all this out, copy this, and put it over. Or by pieces. This is the main chip. I'm going to put a button on there, reset. When it does that, error screen comes up. So you do this again, you do this until that 0 is where you want that 1 to be when you press this screen over. And you'll do that by salty. Well, there's the original. You can say hello, the green wire, hook it up to the hot rail, put a resistor in there, put a transistor. I need it to be a text. I need it to be an image. An image is a text by X and Y in the series of steps here. Control X, Y, and Z. Get you into your file cabinet. See, I'm moving fast. We're just slipping through a bunch of and/or gates. Hi. I'm blinking at me. You know, so these are everything in controls, right? And this is everything in dialogues, and it's going to, all of these actions are relative because alert pop up when something click, oh, pop up. Look at that. It's a new screen on side of where it took out all those buttons and put them on over here. And again, back from the first murder button or first image or first text, how would all these wires, resistor, capacitor, transistor, MOSFET switch, you know, have a relationship as a tool cabinet? Like I said, we want to strip this out. Okay, now that I have that, one of the droids that you could do instead of hello world or image of the droid or just the button is to start limiting these factors. Say, this is an option. Can you Beethoven the key sequence of the buttons go where they're supposed to go in order? 1. Blink. Blink. Then this one. And that's a toggle. That's a type of toggle. You got your HUD right here. See him? Blink. And he's smiling at you. XYZ trying to spit out the... Got it. So, and then, you know, like I said, that's that switch. It's that type of, I need the button, now I need a Raspberry Pi. I had a 6502 Microsoft Bill Gates personal engraved chip there. He laid all the circuitry himself. It needed to be that one. It needed to be Farmer's John. It needed to be in the list. About dialogues over here. Maybe. The standard model. And there it goes. It's running around all. And we can't go back. We can't go back to the first time we did that. We're out here now. We can't. I'll always remember this. It'll be impossible for me to go back and kind of be like reverse engineer the steps where I was like, all right, I had to delete all of this, but I'll never know what steps I did. I just know that to get the button, it's this, and those connections are undeniable in that position if the result in the geometry was a blinky light up there that did this, and I wanted it to wave at me or blink at me or count to 42 or whatever.
And that's it. So we've actually got all of these XOR gates hooked up, and we've got our inputs over here on the switches. So somewhere in here we've got our four data inputs as well as our 3 parity bits are kind of
sitting right here looking at you.
Here coming what are you doing? So now what I'll do is hook up some LEDs so we can actually see what all 7 of these bits look like.
Now you looked at it, you observed it, now it's here. Wave function.
This would be the 4 data
particle slit experiment.
As well as the 3 parity bits in the same configuration here. So easily see what's
Is
going
it in there?
First, I'll get the 4 data LEDs hooked up. So the green LEDs are data. Yeah, those are hooked up.
It's chess game. Now there are different ways in which to do this. If it had different circuits, I may not need the action on this chip circuitry over here to do any of that. But what I got is a Raspberry Pi. You make it happen, soldier.
Okay, so now we've got this entire circuit hooked up, and we've got the LEDs over here, so we can actually see what the outputs are. So now I'll hook up 5 volts. Power this up so we can start to play around with it and kind of get a sense for how it works. So if we start setting these dip switches, you'll see, as I flip these dip switches around, the output changes. And of course, the green LEDs, the 4 green LEDs, just match up directly with the 4 dip switches. So whatever I set these dip switches to, you'll see I've got 1101 over here.
You know the dip switch? I had one of those bosses named Dip. That was his name. He was a builder driver. You know how hard it is to walk past him and not go. Just think about his name. Nice guy, like him. Just to not think about it.
So
the light bulb goes off.
How that works. If we look at the first parity bit over here,
oh, tough one that screw. Let's call these rocks. They just call them niggerheads. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I was like, how could you stand here in preparation of America? Yeah, just be ready. I called them Afro-mans. They were kind of looking funny, but it's like you can't have those in there. Somebody's asking a question about it. You got to answer it something. They're gonna say, yeah, them jank rocks or something. Of course, you'd be thinking about that rock because that dude was over there just standing next to you, a red light. And all of them do it. They just get used to doing it. And Pavlovian dog, Stockholm syndrome, Bell.
That covers these 2 bits and these 2 bits. So if we look here between these 2
bits, you do it any other way. Come on, Larry, with your racist bullshit.
So the parity doesn't need to be on.
Another light goes.
What? Number of ones, an even number of bits that are on with so that parity bit's off. And then parity bit 3 covers just these last 4.
Undo.
Left. And so we have 0, 1, 0. And so because we have one LED on there, we need to turn
the
on
process.
The
this is clean. This is its process 1-ish. Real close, if not.
And because of the way we've wired up these XOR gates, as we...
When you do it, though, it's a brutal nightmare that might take a month.
The output's going to change automatically.
Doing chainmail, it's like, well, you take a link and you...
And what this does for us is that if we have some sort of bit
you
error,
take a
so
link
say,
and
like,
you...
this bit here is supposed to be a 1.
Until your back hurts and your hands hurt.
In our storage or transmission or whatever we're doing with this data, where that bit, it's a little bit flaky, and maybe it's actually accidentally off. There's some...
You used to, don't fit anymore.
So that bit is
Stone
off.
mills.
But we can still, with this information alone, recover the original message, which is 1010. And the way we do that is we just check each of the parity bits. So parity bit 1 here on the right covers every other bit. So if we look at every other bit, we've got a 1, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so that right there is suspicious because within that group we should have an even
murder is
number
right
of
there.
ones. So we should either have 0 1s or we should have 2 1s or 4 1s, but we shouldn't have 1 1, right? And so there's a problem. So we have 1 0 0 0. So we only have 1 1.
These tasks.
So parity bit 1 seems to be wrong. But let's keep going. So parity bit 2 is on, but let's see if it's supposed to be. So parity bit 2, we're looking at these 2 bits as well as these 2 bits. That actually looks right because we've got a 1 0 0 1. And so we've actually got 2 1s within that group. So parity bit 2 should be on, and so that seems
I had the rock. And then I was on camera on the rock, and then they see me doing this, and I was right here in that 0 1 0 position.
Well, that's wrong because we only have a single 1 within that group.
If it looked that way, and I was looking like that, you'd know. There's no way. There's no way he could have been doing that other thing.
Parity bit 3 is wrong. So we've concluded that parity bit 1 is wrong, and parity bit 3
CT paradox. Little photons, he's right there. Can't be over here. Mass, charm, spin, buddy. No, physics. This is how it happens.
So if both of those are wrong, but parity 2 is right, then we can conclude that D2, this bit right here, is wrong.
Hello, future people.
That's the culprit. So if we look at that bit, we know that that's
Grayling lunch line, I'll knock you. When they get here, you'd be like, you remember that video? Remember Wednesday?
And we see that it's a 0, then we can correct it by just flipping it to a 1. And so if we assume that, okay, this really should be a 1, then our true data is 1 0 1 0. And that, in fact, of course, is
clearing the field for you, boss.
So that's how this Hamming code error correction works.
You can tell by the monkey blood on them.
We went through this whole process by hand to figure out that there was an error and then which bit it was, and then, of course, flip it. But how can we do that in hardware as well? And actually, before we get into
so give it to Walt Disney, let him make a movie out of it. He'll pretty it up. He'll take out the bones and he'll pretty it up.
So I have this other circuit here that I built ahead of time, and it's actually
trace it,
pretty
do it again.
So
Tattoo artist, like they make money out of it.
I've got 7 inputs coming in over here, and those inputs go into XOR gates, each one going into one side of an XOR gate, and then the other side of that same XOR gate, I've got.
I say you start bringing in rookies, and if they survive us, we let them ones go. We eat the other ones.
The way that an XOR gate works, if you look at it, is if one input is off, so let's just look at the top half here where the A input, both of those are 0. Well, you can see the output just follows.
Move into his class. They usually don't kick hard.
But if we toggle that first input,
I mean, they will. They'll electrocute your ass, but they don't kick too hard.
Whatever B is. And so that's basically what I'm doing here. Is I've got an XOR gate where the A
Pokemon, like water type, grass type, fire type.
So if they're all off, then the outputs of the XOR gate is going to be whatever the input is. So I've got 7 inputs here. I've got 7 outputs. The outputs are going to be the input. Right. But if I toggle one of these, then it will flip that particular bit. And if the bit was supposed to be a 0, it'll flip it to a 1. If it was supposed to be a 1, it'll flip it to a 0. So this lets me
get smokers out the smoke pit now. I'll tell you that, Ben.
So I'll hook up the 7 inputs of this to the outputs of the Hamming encoder that we just made. There we go. And then I'll also just connect the power here, power and ground through. I'll hook it up the right way around. And there we go. So what we should see is this be the exact same. So whatever we've got here in the top, we should see.
Win says the chieftain, or chieftain says the win.
So if I want to flip, let's say this first data bit here, or bit 3, just flip it, and they'll turn it on. If I want to flip the second bit, I can flip it off just by flipping the switch here. So
you want Baron the winner? Go in their cave with spears.
whatever error I want. So we can test out the error correction that we're about to build. And the way the error correction is going to work is we want to be able to basically compute each of these parity bits and see which of them are wrong, because it was by checking each of the 3 parity bits.
Polar bears are always white. They're always
based on the combination of which parity bits are wrong, if any of them are. It was from that combination that we're able to determine which bit was off. But we need to first compute those parity bits and figure out if any of them are incorrect.
You know, when I go to town, I'm not going to allow you to come with me. I would like to get laid once.
XOR gates are great at computing parity. So what we'll do is we'll have 3 sets of them to compute the 3 different parity bits. So this first set here is for parity bit 1.
Come on, be social, bring me with you. I want to be your friend and help. No.
And so if there's an even number of 1 bits coming in here on the left, then
halfway
the output
in,
will be
like I told you.
But if for some reason there's an odd number of 1s coming in here, so basically either 1 of these or 3 of these are 1s, well then the output here is going to be a 1. And so a 1 on any of these things indicates that that parity bit was wrong, or there's some kind of problem that involves that group. And so we just do that for the 3 different groups.
She's not thinking about Mike anyways. Get out of here.
Hooked to the same, every other bit like this. So you can see it's just hooked to every other bit.
And with thermal.
The second set of XOR gates is this set here on parity 2, and it's these 2 and these 2. And so you can see it's those 2 and then those 2. And then finally, parity bit 3 is coming around to these XOR gates here, and you can see it's just these 4 here. So it's those 4 being XORed together. So this will compute those 3 parity bits.
But why?
And if there hasn't been a bit flipped, then these should all be zeros. But if any of these are a 1, then that means that something has...
Shouldn't they all be 1s? Like, I want them all to be 1s. I want them working all at full capacity into the next...
Exactly was
I'm a dreamer. I'm not saying that this one should do this. I'm saying, well, can I get it to do it? Carl Sagan. Or, Feynman. What if there was 3 slits?
And I'll get the power and ground pins hooked up on each of these chips. I'll start by hooking up this last group here, because that'll be the sort of the last 4 bits, which have been on the left, kind of the way we've been laying things out. So I'll put that on the left.
Because they're there. If this asks a quantum physicist, guess what he's going to be doing? He's like, why are you bothering my quantum physicist? No, I'm gravity. You're a quantum physicist.
And then the output of the first XOR gate will come around.
And if that works, if that is true, that gate works, I will be gravity. You will be quantum physics.
The second input of the XOR gate at the top. And then the output of that XOR gate, we can just hook up to an LED. And that'll let us see what's going on there. That's this bottom one here. So we've got those 4 inputs coming in, going through 2 XOR gates, and then the outputs of those going through a 3rd XOR gate, and then we've got this LED looking at the output.
Quantum physics is the choice of the options of you have to figure out how fast you're going here. The V, the A.
And then the other 2 inputs are
this one
next to here.
Very way.
Those up there like that. And then again, the outputs of these 2 XOR gates on the bottom are going to go around to the inputs of an XOR gate on top.
Doesn't matter. I'm not there to... They don't care if I'm smoking, if I'm tearing out the heart of King Kong and Kali Ma. Bloodsport.
So that's this the second one here. Or that's the second one here. So it's going to those 2 inputs, same 2 inputs there, and then...
Well, I'd do it with you in the room. You'd be piling off at your pie hole like that, and I would be doing the same thing. It wouldn't matter if you were Larry from down the road or in the stone mill. Hydrogen flaming sunshine number 1 supremo. Anti-physics, right? Anti-Xenon paradox, where Murphy's in charge of the boss, making all the rules. Damn it, fucking kid. I hate this son of a bitch. Now I'll have to do OSHA, CAT, standards on patent law, quantum physics, and Darkleman.
Output on these 3 LEDs to show us which of the 3 parity bits is, if any, I guess, is incorrect, based on the input that we've got. So let's hook all this up to what we've got already.
So what's it all mean? It means you make more money. Not a lot of money, but percentageably you'll know exactly where it is. The little blinky lights will say it is right here. 0, 1, 0, 1.
Hook up power to this final circuit down
here. Every time. And that kid yells at you, you beat him up. You tell him your degree, your college, you're not in there. You came from there. You know this number.
Here? Yep.
Yep.
It's funny, I knew exactly which wire was wrong. Which I'll explain in just a minute here. But what this is showing now is it's showing the parity bits. So right now we don't have any errors injected, so all of the parity bits check out.
Because I tried to tell him,
you
want to give me that money? Because then when it comes time for them to bitch about that degree, you're going to feed them to me.
D3, the second bit here, is off. Let's say that some sort of error occurs that flips that on. Well, that's going to screw up.
Well, that would have been a problem if he wasn't working for me in that position as gatekeeper, huh?
So let's do that. So if we flip that, we flip that on. Now we see that those two
safety officer, management, OSHA. I'm OSHA proof, damn near.
Wrong,
Yeah, I could be doing something stupid on the camera, which would have been physics, but other than that, multi-universe situation of a thermal or burning rock through different chips, new torch heads, new forklift equipment, all of the same thing, tear it all out, put it back in.
We know it should be a 0. So if we flip that around and look at that
They didn't bring that to the table.
we end up with the correct answer, which is what we've got up at the top. So just by checking those parity bits,
You will never walk in this building again. You won't understand there's a dragon named Marshmallow living here.
So in this case,
right there.
Only one of the parity bits is wrong, and that's parity bit 3. So that's this case here. So in this case, the error is actually parity bit 3. The data is fine. The only bit that's been flipped is parity bit 3.
Look at you. I got armored, plated steel skin. I got teeth and fire.
Are wrong. So in the case where parity bit 1 and 2 are wrong, well, that's this case here. So 1 and 2 are wrong. That must
Jordan,
be
you know how to
D1.
do lockpicks, right? Yeah. So get over here and disarm this bomb for me.
D1, it
What?
should be a 0. So at this point, we're actually able to detect any
Whammy
single
guy,
bit
summon
error.
him
So
right
in this
now.
case,
Get him.
this is going to be a D3 again, D2. We can detect any single bit error. just by
Tim,
looking at
Tony,
which,
give me the
parity
power.
bits
I
are
swap
wrong.
sees that
Of
bag.
course, if they're all off, well then that means that there's no error, and what we're receiving here is correct. That matches what is being sent, or what we're reading is matches what was stored. If we're doing error correcting memory or something like that. Now, obviously, the one caveat is if there are 2-bit errors, then all bets are off. So in this case, what we're seeing is
Then
parity
you
bit
move
1
to the next
and
part
3
in
are wrong.
archaeology.
So the
You
case
take a
with
picture.
parity bit
Tear
1 and
apart
3
the saw,
means that
take a picture.
D2 must be wrong. So if we try to do error correction here, well, if we flip D2,
I'm sure Don the mechanic
we
can
get
because he's
1,
a legend. I'll blow that thing
0,
up, throw it AR-15 like he did to me that one day.
The data was 1 0 1 0. So
He
we're not
did.
gonna
He was very
get the
sweet
right
about it.
answer
Could
in
you
that
go
case, but
leave me
that's
the hell
because
alone?
We've got 2 errors. I've injected an error on D1 and D3. So we're not able to correct 2 errors. But if there's any single bit error, no problem. We're able to detect it, and we're able to figure out from what parity bits are set, we're able to figure out which bit was flipped. And so presumably we can build a further
When
circuitry
you do
here
that.
to actually flip it back around the right way. But before I get to that, one thing that you might have noticed is that the way that this is laid out, I actually wondered why.
Again, so what happens is, I've said this before, what happens is, over at Delaware Basin Stone would be the example. They never trained me the IMA program, but nevertheless, that is what it is. You go in, you check under the rollers, break room stuff, make sure all the cameras are working, the vending machine's good to go, you walk out on the floor, check under the rollers. Doesn't seem like that'll roll you, but it'll roll you. Inside the blinky light, inside, same chip. Inside of there, you go back over, and they don't teach you any of that. None of the wire hookups, none of the straight lines right here of this exacting distance into that chip over there, and then turn it off. Put it back and go to this one over here. You walk right over that one, Sentinel, just chair, not there. Then you go over to, seen it? Not there. It's not there in this universe. Nope. We're going to simulate that. I play that out later. She's going to pop right through, boss. All right. Moving along. Then you get over there, and so you'll be there for a few days. They won't train you anything. You'll be on night shift by yourself. You'll have some training from the real world of blinky lights, and you'll figure it out. You'll have to figure out how to program the saws, 5 of them a night, right? I'm getting there. We'll get into the purple wire in a second here. And so first things first, the sensors break on there. It's not a purple wire, just a little piece of a thing, and you screw it in, screw it out, you hook it into, it'll look, well, they don't have one here, but the prongs, the adapter bits in there, you can put those into the holes, the male into the female part, not the other way, or this way. And that's where you'll first learn this. And then later on, so here's the saw, right? Here's all the block inside here. Let's say this is the bridge, and this is the terminal, right? Because geometry, we can do that. All right. Blocker back here, we're programming, we're setting this up, and again, the sensor's on here to tell you, oh, get close, brake, turn back around, go up, go down. When it gets up and down on this rail, hot or cold, too high, it'll move over, and then it'll come over. So basically this. Then over in here, the gears, because this thing turns this way, has a bunch of these purple things and yellow things that go inside here that have to be hooked up in a very, very, very specific way. Inside here, the terminal, hello world, doesn't work anymore, or it doesn't have the right count action to the programs you put into there on that screen in terms of the numbers in which they output. It just lock up, not move. Here, this bridge is not moving. It's moving here. It jumps to 7 million. It's supposed to be 1 because I know this is 0. I hit the reset button over here. It doesn't work. Something didn't happen. Something went right here. So I go back to the last place that was. Where it was working fine. I took off this one thing. And then I tried some numbers inside of here. All right, so that's what you have to do to hook that back up. And make that go back in there. And guess what? Inventory. Matter of fact, that one should have been in the inventory over here for the resistance, but it was in the goddamn office, and that shit was locked at night, and I couldn't get in there because I didn't have the freaking key. Now you tell me, math. Go on, Ben.
Sort of interleaved, parity 3 in the middle here. Why it's kind of grouped like this? Well, it's grouped like this because the way this is laid out, the actual parity bits here read out exactly which bit is wrong.
You Mason?
So if we look at this in binary,
find out.
We see 0, 1, 1. Well, that's 3. Well, 3 is 1, 2, 3, the third bit, D1. So 3 is, in fact, the bit that was flipped.
Stone,
and
wood, concrete,
for any bit here.
Free.
So here, I see 1, 1, 0. Well, 1, 1,
Say
0
light.
in binary is a 6.
I
so
better know something about fucking spectrums. Plasticity, deformation.
So flip,
well, there would
5,
be deflection.
1, 0, 1. That's a 5 in
reflection,
well,
refraction,
why,
reflection.
Funny enough, when I first hooked this up, you remember, I had this wire
superposition
by 1 like that. And I immediately knew, just by looking at this, I was like, wait a minute, something's wrong with bit 1. So did I hook bit 1 wrong? And I
are you an electrician? Kinda. A little bit. I know that there are photons in there. I guess so.
The nice thing about working with error correction circuits is that if you have an error in
they're
your
mad.
circuit,
Right now they're mad.
And not only that, it tells you how to correct it. So it told me that bit 1 was hooked up wrong. So there we go. But anyway, now that we are able to figure out, okay, bit 3 is wrong, the next thing you want to do is, if we're using this in some circuit,
like I said, if I could go by the room bit by bit with everybody in class, it's not too fast, not too slow. Somewhere you're just going to bang these pieces in there like you know what you're doing. This dude over here going to get every single step wrong, and you're going to use that advantage. You're going to get that done in terms of the grade, have everything done, prep and ready, kind of look at some other things you could do, and then we're going to move to the next step. And we're going to go back over here, help this dude out a little bit, finish this back off. Everybody got it? Got those lights in sequence? Great. And we're going to come back and do the next step. And then we're going to do the next step. And then I'm going to blindfold y'all. I'm going to put you all in a hat, shake you out, pull out one of you bunnies, and throw you up on the board and tell you to do it all. Now, you're allowed to use this. This doesn't need to be verbatim just because somebody's like, you have to remember it. No, you got cell phones. You got a little blinky light right here trying to tell you stuff.
We stored this particular data, 1010, we want to be able to read 1010 from somewhere. So we got this error, this data with an error in it, and we know where the error is.
We'll get it.
So the next thing we want to do is build a circuit that actually takes the information about where the error is and uses it to actually correct the error. So how do we do that?
Oh, marshmallows, my marshmallows.
Binary position of which bit has the error to actually flip that bit back to the correct value.
I wanted you to be, I'd put a heading up here.
Well, we can
with
use
your
a
name
circuit like this. So what this is we've got our 4 data bits coming in, and if we just look at one of them, we've got that data bit coming in, and it's going through an XOR gate.
What are you writing? Don't worry about
Remember, with an XOR gate, if the other input is a 0,
quit doing it, not quit writing
then
about
the
it.
output's just going to be whatever the input is. But if that input is a 1, then the output's going to be the opposite of whatever the second input is. So that's what we're doing here, is we're taking the bit, and if this other input, this bottom input, is a 0, well, then the bit just passes through. If the bottom input is a 1, then it flips the bit. And so then what we just need to do is we just need to figure out, does that bit need to flip? Like, is that the bit with
if he was really smart, he would have integrated
with,
the rest of that ether
decoder
inside
circuit.
here.
That's what these AND
Just
gates
took
are.
it over.
So
Just
these
like
are
I'm
AND
take
gates
the
that say
financial
if all 3
economic
inputs
system
are ones,
all down.
then the output is going to be a 1, otherwise the output's a 0. So if all 3 of these inputs are a 1, then it flips this bit, otherwise it doesn't flip the bit. And then we can position an inverter.
Well, we have Bitcoin guy over at MIT who is now the Secretary of Economics or Economic Secretary for the White House, right, in the Biden's administration, talking about Ether and Bitcoin from MIT. You can go to that class right here.
011, which is a binary 3.
But
and so
there's
that's
this
actually
guy.
going to select that first.
Isn't this ether?
Right? So
isn't this blockchain?
If we have a 3 coming in here, so 0, 1, 1, that means that we have an error in
Can
the
I do
third
both
bit
with it?
position,
Would it
which
be
is
cheaper if I
D1.
took this math teacher and did both? And just N1/2 next to this? Alright, so you got this economics money. You do this program with the kind of crap you're doing over here.
So 5 is going to be the 5th bit position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's D2. So we have that 1, 0, 1. We're going to flip
1, 0, 1.
Flip that 5th bit position. Here we have a 1, 1, 0. So in the case that we've identified our error is in bit 6, 1, 1, 0, then we'll flip D3. We'll flip the 6th bit position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
This is death camp. This is cemetery, brother.
1, 1, 1, that's the 7th bit position, and we'll flip this last bit. So this decoder.
You're bringing a gray alien to Earth. This is where you die.
In this case, we see
that you thought on another planet, huh?
0, 1, 1.
Well,
so 0, 1, 1 is bit
did you
factor
3, so what they do on Fox? No, they don't do that on your planet, huh? Well, that might be the problem. Well, they're still doing it, though. Did you factor that?
Because they're selecting for different combinations of values. This one will be on, and so that will tell this XOR gate to flip its input. And the other ones won't flip their inputs, so they'll just pass through, but this one will flip, which will have the effect of correcting the bit that was incorrect. So let's go ahead and build this part of the
somebody ripping on your
Okay, so to build this out, we need some XOR gates, some AND gates, and some inverters. For the inverters, I'm going to use the 74LS04, which has got 6 inverters on it. We only need 3. And for the AND gates, I'm going to use the 74LS11, which is this 3-input AND gate. And there's 3 of them per chip.
I think I'm going to go with it.
4.
I like it, buddy.
So I guess we'll need 2 of these chips. And then finally, more XOR gates.
So it's here.
LS86
yes.
again.
Okay.
We're going to power all these up. And then finally, the output here, I just want to hook up some LEDs. And it's getting pretty tight over here on the edge.
So when I'm doing this, easy to hook all this up right here. It's like dark themes. Oh, no. You go back. I don't want you. You go away. Go away. It's like dark themes over here. When you go to change this over all the X, Y's and stuff, do I need to change this to X? Do I need to get in here with the list on and change that over to Z now? Because list is Z up here? And you get going through this thing, and so it's like, oh, well, all I wanted to do is delete one and hit the play button. It won't let you do that. You have to, like, come back in here, delete 2 or 3 of them, change all the names on a thing, because first tab, second tab, third tab. And so you're like, all right, well, I'll speed up. I'll just do all the green. And then you come back up. You do all the white one. Or just and then you kind of coming through here, and it's like control, dialogue. I want to change them over to X's and Y's so they say different things, or at least act differently. SI, AO, you could say 10, AU, AX, AZ, AU, AV, AW, AX, AY, Z, which gives me some platform on what it is, realistically. I mean, when I say X, well, I could get rid of this, but the first one is to say just the droid back there, add it on the home screen before the button, because you separated the button from all this, and, so we still have a button, but most people's brains can't get past X's button. That's right, Johnny. That's why I don't do nothing in here. And when you get dialogues about toggles and stuff like that, yes, toggle alert if it is in a certain way, and give me a list about stuff and that I can actually click on some way that are different and different variables about maybe the farm is different topology and time. The cube inside here. Which one was I watching last night? Let me see if I can find that one real quick. Sorry, Ben, you've done good. You've been good. You've been a hell of an assistant for this magic trick, but we're going to have to keep moving. I think they were populations and simulations is what they were. Not that one. That's a good one. Not the one I'm looking for. I think I posted it last night. Here we go. Evolution. This wire to that wire. If I do that, this generation on the droid.
You can achieve your career goals at Purdue University.
Chess AI.
This video is about natural selection. If you've watched the previous videos in this series, you've seen these blob creatures live, die, and replicate, but it's been a little bit artificial.
Where's the one I'm looking for?
We just gave each type of creature
Come
a
on.
replication chance and a death chance,
You do it.
saw what happened.
Well, that stuff's
Natural
important
selection,
if you
though,
watch
usually
this.
can't know precise replication and death chances.
That's the one.
Instead, selection comes from average speed.
Okay, so you're sitting here watching all these points. He's talking about changing the speed or the sense, like how far of an area those little things can run around and get food, how much time they have. If they're bigger, does it help? Are they faster? Or they have a combination of those things? And meanwhile, this thing's just, you're looking around the room, and this thing is just like gonna...
different from what it was when only speed was allowed to vary, which is a little bit surprising because we didn't explicitly change anything.
This thing is gonna shotgun pattern right in your head in about 2 seconds when this thing changes over, and you're looking at it like you're, oh, well, obviously sense and speed are what's important, and until this thing changes on axis and this thing's pegged out across sides on the board.
And there's one other thing I noticed. When I first ran the simulation, I thought there would be a pretty intense selection toward creatures with higher sense, because sense informs everything else the creature does, and it doesn't cost very much. But instead, sense is
Wait for it.
spread out.
Come on. You're supposed to turn a little bit. Why don't you turn you?
The thing about natural selection, it doesn't care what I or anyone else thinks is best. It just does what it does. All right, one last simulation. Let's see what happens if we change the environment.
Is the angle on this straight?
Let's go to 10 food each day.
Because it might matter on a vector.
That this won't be able to support the population of about 50 creatures we currently have. So the number of creatures will go down. But what else will happen? I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Interesting.
Okay, well, apparently the creatures that thrived with 100 food just aren't able to cut
Well, you are my little evolution critters running around the stone mill floor, even if you're the boss. I'm one of yours. I mean,
with only 10 food, there's going to have to be some time for the population to adjust. So instead,
oh, you can't do that because I'm the boss. Get out of my house. What the fuck are you doing?
And then every 2
You're in my
days,
fridge
we'll
right now.
have one less piece of food.
Change
until
the number.
Eventually, we're only putting out 10 pieces of food each day.
Oh, it's coming at me. It's the wobbles. I see them right there. It's what it is. Somebody didn't do this shit. That one. Right. That one. And senses needs to be important, apparently, from this axiom. But I can't tell you speed. Speed might be relative to...
That in a lower food environment, things aren't as crowded and being big just isn't worth it anymore. Sense, on the other hand, became super valuable now that a low sense creature can easily go a whole day without seeing anything and die. And now speed is actually really valuable again. This surprised me, actually. I thought
derivative over derivative t. Well, this is derivative, this is derivative, so this one is derivative x, actually, because it's in the second motion and negative one. We start with the right-hand rule, moving in this direction. Sense and size. You will look at it from this, that will determine your colors, and at the end of the program, you rotate it to see what that vector... 90 degrees.
The amount of food didn't just reduce the number of creatures, it totally changed which creatures exist. You'll often see evolution depicted as this march toward more and more advanced, complex, higher creatures, but that's not how it is at all. The only thing that matters is how well a creature is adapted to its environment.
How do you know that monkey wasn't super sane?
Let's do a quick recap.
Amongst monkeys breeding.
With this relatively simple environment we created, we were able to see some important principles in action. But we're not done yet. In the next few videos, we'll keep exploring natural selection by trying to see how some more complicated
somebody factor that.
counterintuitive...
I think it was AVE this morning said something about a tree, right? He's like, the tree just kind of compels to bend towards gravity, but it's organized chaos. It's very organized for the CNC machine while he's trying to work that railroad tie this morning, make a bookend, but orderly. Why would you do that and break all those bits? Well, this is the process was to be, I might lose a couple. I knew in the vector calculus here that could have happened if the speeds or sense or size was off in one way or the other. I mean, I wish I could do it with laser beam vision, but let's assume that what I had is some real parts I have to put in there.
Intuitive traits can be favored. See you then.
Catch you on the next one.